What's up, fighting fans? Tibz from the Fight IQ channel. Today we're coming back for another episode of the Fight IQ show. You know what time it is? Weekend preview, of course. Nice weekend of fighting, mostly MMA cards. I'm gonna pick 3 fights that will blow your mind and that you shouldn't miss. After that, I'll also recap what will happen in the combat sports world this weekend. So let's get ready to rumble! On my menu, there will be the PFL 5 in Salt Lake City on Friday 21st, the UFC Fight Night in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Saturday 22nd, the Bellator Champion Series in Dublin on Saturday 22nd, the Danny vs Cash boxing event in Birmingham, England on Saturday 22nd, and the LFA 186 in Denver on Saturday 22nd. Number 3, I picked Clay Collard vs Mats Burnell, main event of the PFL 5 in Salt Lake City on Friday 21st, and it's for the lightweight regular season. 2 OGs there, both fighting at the highest level for at least 10 years, and it's also an elite striker versus an elite grappler. Clay Collard, who I already introduced a lot on this channel, is 31 years old, 38 pro fights, 25 wins, 15 finishes. He's pro since 2011. He had a brief run at the UFC between 2014 and 2015, a parenthesis in pro boxing between 2019 and 2021 before joining the PFL. And there are some great names on his hunting board: Anthony Perez, Jeremy Stevens, Shane Burgos. He reached the lightweight tournament finals last season, losing only to an unstoppable Olivier Aubin-Mercier. He started 2024 on the wrong foot, losing to AJ McKee by submission after only 1 minute in the first round during the PFL vs Bellator events. But he proved that he was still a force to be reckoned with in the PFL tournament, finishing Patricky Pitbull in the second round last April. Collard is the perfect example of how boxing can be applied to MMA. Nasty power punches, short combos, good head movements, and you will have to put it to work to go through Mats Burnell. The Danish is 30 years old, 18-6, 9 wins by way of submission. He's pro since 2013. He also had a brief run at the UFC between 2017 and 2018 and is the former Cage Warriors featherweight champion. He went to Bellator in 2020 also as a featherweight. 7 fights, 5 wins, including dominating performances over Justin Gonzalez and Daniel Weichel in 2023. As PFL bought Bellator, he joined the PFL roster, moving up to lightweight to compete in the tournament. He lost the first fight of the regular season, was at PFL 2 last April, getting submitted by Michael Dufour in round 2. Burnell is an amazing grappler with very advanced submission skills. And that might be the key in this matchup. Collard having a hard time versus good grapplers. If Burnell can cut the distance and take Collard to the ground, I'm pretty sure he will be able to finish him. And he will need to if he wants to stay in the tournament. So I'll go with Burnell via submission in the second round, but he'll have to respect Collard's power if he doesn't want to get knocked out. Number 2, Riyadh Fakhretdinov vs Nicolas Dalby. It will be on the prelims of the UFC Fight Night in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Saturday 22nd. Man, this fight is so high level, it has nothing to do in the prelims. 2 experienced and well-rounded fighters that are climbing the ladder of the welterweight division. First we have Fakhretdinov, 32 years old, 22-2-1, 18 finishes. Gladiator is pro since 2013 and he tries to finish every fight. He was on a 14 fights win streak, including wins at GFC in Russia and UAE Warriors, when he caught the eye of the UFC. He made his debut with the organization in June of 2022, defeating Andreas Michailidis by unanimous decision. He dominated Brian Battle 6 months later, winning again by a unanimous decision. He fought twice last year, submitting Kevin Lee in the first round in July and getting a draw in a really disputed contest versus Eliseu Zaleski last November. He will now try to come back in the win column, but the task won't be easy. Indeed, he's facing Nicolas Dalby, the forever young Danish dynamite. 39 years old, 23-4-1, 2-0 contest, 11 finishes. He's pro since 2010. He had the first run at the UFC in 2015, where he arrived with an undefeated record of 13-0. 4 fights there, a win over Eliseu Zaleski, a draw versus Darren Till, and 2 losses. He was released and went back to Cage Warriors where he had a great run, 1 loss followed by 3 wins with 3 stoppages, including a fight for the Cage Warriors welterweight title in March of 2019 versus Alex Luore. That earned him a second shot within the UFC, winning his first fight versus Alex Oliveira in September of 2019 by unanimous decision. 5 wins and on a 4 fights winning streak. That includes an amazing performance for his last appearance last November, where he stopped Gabriel Bonfim in the second round. Both guys are so complete, it's really hard to say who will get the win. I'd go with Nicolas Dalby because he's quite on an amazing run. I think he'll put all his skills to work to get that win. I don't think there will be a finish in this fight, but it will be a war and it will be the details that will make the difference. And number 1, Jason Jackson versus Ramazan Kuramagomedov, main event of the Bellator Champion Series in Dublin on Saturday 22nd. It's for the Bellator welterweight title. I am as excited as I am intrigued by this one. The current champion, who showed is now one of the best on the planet at 170, versus a new challenger, relatively unknown, so mysterious, but showing a lot of promises since he arrived in the US. Let's start with the champ, Jason Jackson, the ass-kicking machine, 33 years old, 18-4, 9 finishes. Nice career path for Jackson, who competed in the Ultimate Fighter 21 back in 2015, losing versus Mike Graves. Then after 3 wins in a row on the American scene, he got an invite to the Dana White Contender Series in July of 2017. He lost in round 2 versus Carl Stewart due to an ankle injury, but those 2 missed opportunities were a temporary setback on his way to a world title. He signed at Bellator in August of 2018, launching an incredible run. 11 fights, 10 wins, including a 7 fights win streak, beating some big names like Branson Anderson, Paul Daly, Douglas Lima, which led to a title shot in November of 2023. He faced the undefeated Yaroslav Amosov as a complete underdog and he shocked the world. He dominated the fight and finished his opponent in round 3. His last appearance was last February for the PFL vs Bellator event in Riyadh. He fought Ray Cooper III in a catchweight bout and finished him with ground and pound in the round 2. He will now defend his title for the first time against an hungry and undefeated challenger, Ramazan Kuramagomedov. The Russian is 27 years old, 12-0, 8 finishes. After starting his career at ACB, which revealed a lot of Russian fighters, he started competing in the US at PFL. It was back in August of 2018, he faced Robert Hale, who he beat by unanimous decision. Then in July of 2019, he beat Jordan Williams by unanimous decision at the Dana White Contender Series, but was not granted a contract. After a few other fights at Cage Fury Fighting Championship, UAE Warriors and Eagle FC, Bellator decided to give him a chance. He made his debut in June of 2023 versus Jalil Willis, who he finished in the first round via ground and pound. His last appearance was in November of 2023 for his second fight within Bellator. He faced the experienced Randall Wallace and submitted him in the second round. Kuramagomedov is an excellent wrestler and grappler. As soon as he gets you to the ground, you're in danger. But he can also strike, so he's not to be underestimated. That being said, I think that the step is a little bit too high for him. Of course, a lot of Bellator contenders were transferred to the PFL roster after the organization was bought, and Jackson already beat the best at welterweight, so they had to find someone. But I don't think he can beat someone as experienced and as skilled as Jackson yet. I can be wrong, but Jackson proved he's on another level, and I think he'll find a way to set up his striking without being taken to the ground. So I go with the champ, and I think he will finish Kuramagomedov in the championship rounds. There are some other fights that I want to keep an eye on. Let's start with the PFL. Ryan Zurcher will open the card, fighting another undefeated prospect, Julian Ruiz. I'm really a fan of Zurcher. He has a lot of potential and I think he will have a bright future, so I'll watch for sure. Brent Primus versus Solomon Renfro might also be really entertaining. And of course, Impa Kasanganay, last season champ, versus Jacob Nedo, the PFL Europe last season champ. At UFC, of course, I'm disappointed that we don't get the Whittaker versus Shimaev we deserved. but let's wish Chimaev a speedy and healthy recovery. Also, I don't think Aliskerov can beat Whittaker, but I think it will be a good fight. For the rest, the card is okay without being great. I'll pay extra attention to Johnny Walker vs Volkan Ozdemir at light heavyweight, Pavlovich vs Volkov at heavyweight, and Akparas vs Gordon at lightweight. At Bellator, keep an eye on Paul Hughes. He fight in the co-main vs Bobby King. The kid is crazy good and he'll make a lot of noise in the near future. Beyond that, a lot of good prospects on that card. Darrow Kelly, Simeon Powell, Hamidov, Hassan Magomedsharipov, so it will be worth watching. I'll definitely pay attention to the LFA 186 main event. Azamat Bekoyev will defend his middleweight title versus Chauncey Foxworth. The guy is really good. I think he'll win with a dominating performance. To be honest, I think we'll see this guy in the Dana White Contender Series or even in the UFC later this year. So be sure you pay attention to him. Some nice fights on the Danny vs Cash boxing event. Shannon Chaos Ryan, undefeated female super flyweight prospect, will face Emma Dolan, another undefeated prospect, for the British and the Commonwealth super flyweight titles. Lewis Crocker, the undefeated British welterweight, will fight in the co-main versus Conor Walker. I really want to see him fight, I like his style. A nice main event for the European middleweight title. Tyler Denny will have a hard task versus the undefeated Felix Cash. And we done here. Now you know what to watch this weekend, guys. As usual, punch those like and subscribe buttons. Go hit the comments, go on Discord, Instagram, Telegram, whatever you're on. Let's discuss your thoughts and your picks for the coming matchups. Enjoy the fights. I'll see you next week.
Let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me. Swing with the right, but I might go lefty. I made plus with it, so don't test me. They wouldn't let me. Man's gal wanna come undress me. Swing with the right, but I might go lefty. I made plus with it, so don't test me.